I should be called Cliffhanger.
Hello and welcome back. This is Grillenheimer. We're actually looking into some of the Transformer TCG cards that I have been focusing on lately, and I just haven't had the chance to do much video. So today we're only really going to go over the Skybound Shield, but I have a few things I really want to talk about too. And that is, I went back and looked to see that, oh my gosh, I started going over the boats, my Marina War characters, and I never finished. So I've gone back to one of the last videos where we last left off with releasing or kind of evaluating their updated color schemes and their looks and whatnot. So they're not, they haven't been penciled and colored in marker in years. And I've just gotten so, not just distracted, up and down depressed, life, family, whatnot, and working on the ranking cards, other things popping up, life, etc., that, hey, we need to go back and finish the Marina War characters. And so I started going back, and I see where we left off, and we're gonna get back to that. And I redid a new symbol, which is the anchor. If you barely remember, if you've been here that long, I have a little, the old original 5 waves of the cards. There were these little symbols on the bottom that Wizards was doing, which was to help designate which wave the card came from, because they did do a few repeats, reissues, especially like handheld blasters, improvised shields, and a few other cards. Actually, it wasn't just those, but they had another 1 or 2 cards that they re-released because they were so popular, so well received, and just needed in the decks, for back then. So I made a new anchor for the symbol for my Marina War stuff, and I realized, oh gosh, here's all my Marina War upgrades. I had about 9, maybe not quite 10 upgrades, and they were all hand drawn by me. And the scimitar, however it's pronounced, blade, and all these neat little weapons that are pretty interesting, and about maybe less than half of them can only go on boat traded characters. And I'm like, oh my gosh, and I really want to go back. I'm in my car with the engine running, so that's what you're hearing. I really want to go back and recolor these and make them look better. 1 or 2 already look computer colored. I think the buoy looked pretty well. I think that I may have colored that one in the computer. So I might go back if I get the chance this summer before it's over and recolor those. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can make these look so much better. Revisit these, maybe tighten up the text, etc., etc. So there's that. I want to get back and finish. Yeah, we haven't finished the ranking cards for good reason. Because we got the space units to get through, and those 7 ranks of classes to go through, if you remember. We're going to get through it all. Trust me, we will. If I don't wring my hands of this game off my person by the end of the year, we will go to 2026. Okay. But today, really, I have only one card I want to go over, and that is the Skybound Shield. The Skybound Shield, this image is from the Earth War game. We were having an event over the weekend, if you still play Earth Wars, like I barely do. And I was like, oh, cool. I can make a card out of this. Yes. And so I screenshot it, flipped it, and put it on a card. So, and I wanted something similar to the Ultra Magnus Armor, or Magnus Armor, but I didn't want to do it too much to the T, because the Ultra Magnus Armor, if you remember, is a 2-star card that I believe is also a weapon armor, but it's +2 to attack, +2 to defense, and I can't remember if it does much else, but it's a nice strong card that you would only have a chance to put one of in your deck. Otherwise, you're going to be using up 6 stars of your deck if you want 3 of these in it, you know? And that's a lot of stars. I mean, that's a character's worth. And anyway, so the Skybound Shield is a 1-star. It is, you're going to notice a few things. Okay, and that's where I kind of stopped with the ranking cards, because I was trying to do Yellow Pips and Yellow Hybrid Pips, and I did a very bad job. And I'm like, the Skybound Shield, I feel the Pip should not be aggressive. You cannot be able to get this on the flip, so there should be no green, there should be no black, there should be no blue or orange or anything like that. And I'm thinking, okay, by the nature of this kind of card, I want it yellow, and I thought it needs to be white also. And I'm like, let me just make it a hybrid white and yellow Pip, or yellow and white Pip. And so I did. Now, going back and looking at the hybrid Pips that are in the Magic Set Editor. Now again, Wizards of the Coast never did this yet. And I've really been diving into hybrid Pip colors for cards using the idea of having a card do dual actions, if you will, or dual functionality for these cards that do have hybrid Pip colors. And so that's kind of what's going on here, not completely. So now it is an artifact. What's an artifact, dude? Well, an artifact, I took it from the idea from the Master Sword from the original game from Wave 5. And I think there was another one, because the Master Sword was a weapon. I want to say there was an armor also that had something similar, that when you play this weapon on a character with no empty weapon slots, you know, then it can be played. So you can't play it early in the game. You have to already have a weapon on it to be able to replace it with this weapon, the Master Sword. And I want to say they did an armor, something similar. I can't remember what the other card was. But so I used artifact, made this symbol for it with a little hammer on it, and put it over in a certain place to make it look like it kind of belongs, and filled that little gap there on the right middle part of the card. And I'm thinking, I like that. I like it a lot. So I've got these artifacts, and I did a lot of them. I'll put a few up on the screen. But so the Skybound Shield is an artifact. It's a hybrid yellow-white. So you can call it yellow or white. You can't call it both on the flip. Okay, and what does yellow do? Yellow is buff or buffer. And you can only, it would be best to call it white on the aggressive or yellow on the defensive, because a yellow Pip is going to help reduce pierce by 1 that is flipped by your opponent. It's not going to reduce pierce by their total pierce, only their flip pierce. That is key. It's going to help, but it's not going to help completely. So, unless we need to change it, unless you think we need to change that, but that for the moment, that's how I like the yellow Pip color to work. With each yellow Pip you flip on defense is going to take down each black Pip flipped by your opponent. Not total pierce, just flipping pierce. Because you're flipping yellow, they're flipping black. So if they have, you know, pierce on the character, pierce on their upgrade and action the card with at more pierce, it's not going to deflect that pierce. Okay, so think about that. Which means they may have, and remember, pierce cannot be more than attack. So if they have a pierce of 6 but only an attack of 3, their pierce is now only pierce 3. So that is something to think about when you're flipping, especially if you are attacking somebody that is defending with yellow pips, and you're like, oh gee, how am I going to do this? And you're like, you may have to tell them where your pierce is coming from. Okay, something to think about. Okay, I've got this pierce, I've got that pierce. You can't deflect it because I'm not using my flip black pierce. I don't know. So if it needs to be total, let me know. That's a good question. It's something maybe we should talk about, but let's keep moving. So maybe this shouldn't be a star card, but for now it is, because it's attack of 1 and defense of 1 on an upgrade, but on one upgrade, but at the same time it's going to cover, it's an artifact. So when you play the Skybound Shield, you have to replace a weapon and an armor on a character with no empty weapon and armor slots. So you're having to replace a weapon and armor already on a character excuse me, to be able to play the Skybound Shield. So maybe it doesn't need the star. Let me know what you think. Now, with being an artifact, you can use my action card, Artifact Dectector. That is a green pip that you can get on the flip to be able to get the Skybound Shield if it's in your scrap, to get it back in your hand. Okay, that's what the Artifact Dectector does, if you remember. So there's that. This is a card number 9 out of 10 out of my buffer cards. We're eventually going to reveal all those to you to see if you like these or not. I finally finalized the Yellow Pip, so it doesn't look like Pac-Man anymore. This is part of it. So this is half of it. Originally, I was doing something different with the hybrids when I was using the ranking cards, because I'm like, oh, I've got a Yellow Pip now. Let's do it to the ranking cards, which I should have waited, but I didn't. Oh, gosh, I gotta go, guys. So there's that. So I'm finally with the hybrid Yellow Pip. I was doing with the hybrid I didn't like, because they weren't very clean. It didn't look this good. It didn't look this clean. In trying to see the symbols that I had on those hybrids for the, the spaceship or the tank or the plane or whatever the trait is, it was hard to see it. And I'm like, I got to do something better than this. I mean, I kind of liked it. It was kind of cool looking, but it needed to be cleaner. And I think this is going to look a whole lot better going forward. So, and when the Skybound, if you're able to, if you have a weapon and armor, I don't know, just say you have maybe at least an attack drone on a character, and maybe some other little armor on your character too, and you got a Skybound Shield in your hand, and you're like, ooh, I can replace those with this. And when you are able to replace weapon and armor on a character with no empty armor slots, it's going to be upgraded to +1 to attack, +1 defense, and if the upgraded character would take pierce damage, instead it takes that much damage -2. Should this be called sturdy? I don't know. I didn't want to use their term, but I did want to go ahead, and this is might be something similar to the Magnus Armor, or something similar to sorry, I just had a coughing fit. It's getting hot in this car. I gotta go pick up my wife. It's after work. So there's that. Okay, so I was mimicking another card that we already had, an official card without sturdy. So, and it just sounded better this way, and there was plenty of room on the card without it making it look too busy, and still make sense. So you know exactly what this is going to do. So you're going to be able to, take off flip pierce when you flip this as yellow, or when it's on a character with +1 to attack and +1 defense. You're also going to be able to subtract total pierce by 2 when it's worn and it's on a character that is defending. So what do you think? Let me know. Very simple card, not trying to do anything too crazy or too strong like some of the other guys do. Maybe they're cooking. I think they're working on wave 10, I think. So they may have some stuff in the oven too. Life happens. I've gotten slow. They've gotten slow. So if you're eating my cards up and you're like, ooh, let's print this guy's stuff out and see how it works. Hey, I appreciate it. I really, really do. And I've printed out some stuff myself. We got to go over some of the secret upgrades that I've done, and I want to show those off in their physical form. But there's one or two that after I printed them, I'm like, I need to fix some stuff. So I want to go over those at some point when I happen to be at the house alone, and hopefully my wife is feeling well enough to go out and just drive and walk somewhere and shop, because if you're a praying person like I am, pray for us. We definitely could use some prayers for sure, for some healing. And that's really all I've got right now. I didn't mean to go quite 16 minutes because I got to go pick her up and we got to get home. I didn't mean to leave this late. Famous last words. And with that, this is the Skybound Shield. So we kind of looked at this. We kind of looked at the artifact detector. We also mentioned a few other cards at the same time, as well as might be finishing up with Marina War characters, maybe touching up my Marina War upgrades, which I really like. I need to revisit those with the new Marina War symbol. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening if you made it to the end of the video. We'll see you next time. Subscribe and like if you haven't already. And don't just have a good day, have a blessed day. And as always, Autobots, let's flip out and let's roll for it.